On this episode of Treasure Expeditions, I explore the Western Museum of Mining and Industry. I discover that minerals from mining are used in everything from diet soda to borax to vitamins.
Anything that's metal comes from a hole in the ground, comes from a mine. So without minerals and mining, you don't have copper wiring, you don't have automobiles, you don't have any kind of electrical technology like flat screens and cell phones and things like that. If you take a vitamin, you'll notice there's zinc and potassium and all sorts of other stuff in there. It comes out of mines. So without mining and minerals, there's no civilization, basically.
I dig into the Western Museum of Mining and Industry, located in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Western Museum of Mining and Industry started in 1970, moved to this location in the early 80s, and so we educate the public about mining and industry and all the associated things like ranching and things that have to be built and run out of mines.
The curator of the museum, Richard Saunders, discusses the history of the museum.
Well, the museum was established in 1970 by Fred Farrer and a group of friends. He was a local banker and a mining aficionado, and he owned a ranch out northeast of Black Forest. And as the story goes, and one of his daughters confirmed it, he was amassing a mining collection of artifacts out there, big stuff, and his wife said he needed to do something with him and clean up the ranch, so he got a group of friends together and they founded the Western Museum of Mining and Industry in 1970. About a mile and a half kind of in that direction from here up off of present-day Voyager Boulevard. They built a storage building up there and started collecting things from all over the place, especially Cripple Creek.
Saunders tells us about the property.
When this property here along Interstate 25 became available in the about 3-4 years later, they bought 27 acres and then built a stamp mill down here, and then eventually built the building we're in right now that opened in 1982. And so we've been open for a lot of visitors since 1982.
Saunders talks about an interesting replica.
I'm standing right at the entrance to a replicated underground tunnel or drift to give visitors the experience of what it's like to walk underground. We have a temporary exhibit area right now. We have a fluorescent mineral room, which contains the largest public display of fluorescent minerals in the state right now. Plus we have all those engines and water pump out in the lobby that are just the masterpiece, the centerpiece of the museum, really.
The collection features working machinery. Executive Director Grant Dewey discusses more about the machines in the museum and what the collection features.
Mostly steam engines, and so these contraptions that are well over 100 years old took the energy out of steam and created it into motion, so you can run something else like a saw or a press or a lathe, anything of that nature.
After guide Judy Most shows us an air compressor, Executive Director Grant Dewey demonstrates a 1-horsepower steam engine considered portable at the time.
Talking about steam engines, here's a great little example. This is a small one, and it can show the whole process. Remember, this is an industrial age. We're going to use steam to move something else. So in this case, up here at the top would be kerosene, the fuel. Comes down into here. It's going to be burned to heat the water. We're going to boil the water to create the steam. The steam can be gauged and controlled and come over into here. This is a piston, so that piston's going to go up and down by the force of the steam. In that case, it's going to turn this wheel, and this wheel by this belt is connected to a little like stone crusher type of thing. So let's run that so you can see it in action. So the piston driving the little lever, turning the wheel, and driving the belt. And that's super cool. But I can connect anything I want to it. I could connect a saw or a lathe or a little press. We could even grind some coffee beans for fun, or run a dishwasher, or a washing machine, or a sewing machine. It kind of sounds like a sewing machine, doesn't it?
Saunders discusses another mine exhibit. Stay tuned for Grant Dewey's demonstration on gold panning.
Behind in the mines, if you look at that exhibit, people left clothing, they left food containers, they left smoking apparatus, they left homemade homeopathic remedies, they left newspapers, they left pictures, bottles, cans. It's amazing what was left behind.
The curator lets us know about mining in Colorado.
Colorado today, we have one massive gold mine, the mine over at Cripple Creek. There are other smaller mines, but that is one of the major minerals that are done. And of course, there's a lot of surface mining going on for copper. Uranium was a major supplier over in the western slope years ago, decades ago, but not anymore. But basically, there's not as much mining going on in the state as there was at one time, where it was one of the leading industries in the state.
Richard Sowers tells us about the history of mining in Colorado.
Colorado, the gold was discovered in 1859 in Clear Creek by prospectors, would-be prospectors heading toward California. And once gold was discovered here, the word got out fairly quickly, and lots of people came in, and people got into Cherry Creek and moved up into present-day Gilpin County, Clear Creek County, got in up there, found all sorts of stuff, and then it began to expand from there. You had major gold and silver rushes in the 1880s, 1870s, you had a major silver rush down in Creede, while silver was still Creede. Same thing up in Breckenridge, and then in 1891, gold's discovered in Cripple Creek. And by 1900, Cripple Creek is the largest gold producer, gold field in the United States, if not the world at one point. And then in the post-World War II, with the push for nuclear power and atomic bombs and things like that, you get all sorts of uranium discoveries out in the western slope. Plus you have copper, and you have iron and lead and all sorts of other minerals being mined throughout the state.
Sowers talks about what's mined in New Mexico.
In New Mexico is mostly known for copper and uranium.
The curator says there are some tourist destinations in New Mexico.
There are tourist mines where you can go into and look for all sorts of fun gems.
Sowers talks about what visitors can do at the museum.
We do 3 family days a year: Family Day Geology, Family Day Science, and Family Day History, where we bring in exhibitors with those 3 themes. We have a second Tuesday lecture series from February through November here at the museum. Our biggest public event is in October. Every Saturday in October, we do the Miners Pumpkin Patch, where we have a pumpkin patch, hay rides, food trucks, music, lawn games, and just all sorts of fun for families. It's a family fun event. We rent the grounds out for the pig jig and for Oktoberfest and all sorts of other events. We do other events here from time to time.
Sowers lets us know when visitors flock to the museum.
Busiest time is from Memorial Day through Labor Day.
He discusses the number of visitors to the museum.
We have about 5,000 students a year, about 25,000 total visitors. They come from all 50 states and about a dozen different countries from around the world.
Dewey talks about machinery that's used to power mines.
So we have all the cool machines. As you can see, there's one behind me. So that's about the industrial age. And so we also talk about mining and geology and metallurgy and the history of all those things as well. And what happens today with mining, such as for lithium, for batteries and electric cars.
Dewey digs into more about the fluorescent mineral room. Dewey answers what makes the fluorescent minerals glow.
Well, that's a little bit of science. So that's what happens when the UV light, ultraviolet light, hits the mineral or the rock, and the electrons get so excited they actually give light back. So that's why you get greens and oranges and yellows and purples.
Grant Dewey demonstrates gold panning.
The whole reason gold panning works is because gold and other metals are very heavy, so they want to sink to the bottom of your pan, at the bottom of this trough, or the bottom of this stream. So you always want to dig down, get some sand and your dirt in there, right? And we're basically going to try to swish off or rinse off all the light stuff on top. So we shake it and tap it, all the gold's gonna sink to the bottom. And then I'm gonna wash off some more, wash off some more. Basically the light colored material and the lightweight material is what we're trying to get rid of. And we're gonna work down. You can begin to see there's some little gemstones there that are kind of pretty. We'll go a little farther. Shake, 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 shake. Let's wash. You can see we're getting down to sand. It started getting a little darker. Kind of black sand is what we're looking for. Oh, and this is really pretty. When you get down there, it just starts to look really shiny. That is what we call the fool's gold. So that's iron pyrite. Reflects a lot of light, so it's shiny. And then down at the very bottom, and at the very bottom, you can't even really hardly see it. It's where the little tiny gold flakes would be in the black sand, or what they call pay dirt. So that's super simple, quick on how you can get started with panning for gold.
This looks like a gem, kind of.
Yeah, we've got some quartz and garnet.
Is that a gem?
And that could be a little olivine or emerald type of thing.
I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go.
My adventure ending, I return back home. There I spot juvenile turkeys and a buck. For Treasure Expeditions, I'm Terri Saunders.